Coming in here to share with you some passages from this morning. I read in Isaiah 38, 28 to 29. So what happened was later on in the day, before I read that, and then I saw a post about someone having a tattoo. The tattoo was a very skinny skull. Okay, so people were making comments on it, and it just so happened that I read a passage, not on tattoos, but it was on nose hooks. So somehow I've skimmed that in the Bible, and I know tattoos are huge, piercings, all of that. So I just want to share what I got out of this today. And it was just so fitting, God ordains everything. So here it is, okay, Isaiah 38, 28 to 29. It says, "But I know where you stay, and when you come and go, and how you rage against me. Because you rage against me, and because your insolence has reached my ears, I will put my hook in your nose and my bits in your mouth, and I will make you return by the way you came." Boy, that sounds harsh, doesn't it? I mean, that is just blatant. So first of all, what I get out of this is that God is not for nose hooks. Okay, I have a sensitive nose, I do the neti pot once in a while and everything, so I can't imagine having any kind of disturbances like nose piercings. It would just highly irritate me. But to each his own, right? So in this passage, God is not for nose hooks. In fact, he sees it as rebellion. Okay, blatantly, he says that, like, hey, you have a choice. You go back to where you started. And it didn't sound like it was much here. So rewind and fast forward in these passages. It talks about King Hezekiah. It talks about how he was a king, very faithful. He brought it up to God because the prophet was saying he was going to die from some kind of disturbance, a health reason. That would be like today, the last few years, what's happened if he got hit with that or some kind of disease. He loved his life. It sounded like he had high life, great family, friends, a lot of wealth. So some of you, some of us, whatever, don't have that kind of life where we feel like, hey, I want to live a lot longer to see my grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So it sounded like King Hezekiah had that. But he took the plead from God that he was faithful. So I take that as he would put God first. In the mornings, he would probably get up with his coffee or whatever and spend that unobliterated time with God every day, trusting him, getting counsel. Making decisions where God was first, and spiritually that was number one. He was very prosperous. So that goes to show you the weight of being faithful to God and not being rebellious. So I don't know about you, But for me, I don't want to be rebellious against God. I mean, He's the creator. He's the one. He's the one that made you and I. He knows everything from beginning to end. And there's other passages that talks about, it was before that, that talks about He knows everything that's going to happen, you know. And so if the Bible is 100% true, everything that's happened that's been claimed to happen has happened and will continue to happen in prophecy. So based on that track record, we know that everything's going to come true with the Bible, because God already says that it will never be destroyed. I mean, look what's going on with the economy, with parts of the world that's been prophesied that we can't even claim Jesus and the power of God. We can't even talk about Him. Okay, there's a certain country recently that they will punish people, and they put in a law that if they start talking about Jesus, that they're going to punish them. So I just want to leave it to you with these tattoos, body piercings, everything like that. I mean, you may want to think twice about getting that. Using that money to help a neighbor or a friend, or use it for investment in crypt or something else, you know, grow gardens. And the type of tattoo may not be that bad, may not have that much weight. Like if you're just getting a butterfly or flower or smiley face, whatever, I mean, you almost think that's really harmless. So that's ultimately your decision. It does talk about tattoos in Ezekiel. So obviously, if it wasn't important or some kind of an issue, God would not bring it up about tattoos in the Bible. So anyway, just think about it. You know, think about the symbols. There's a lot of symbols out there today. And I've had to recently decline on an offer of being a brand ambassador for jewelry. They're a big company. Because I looked at their jewelry, and the jewelry has the symbolisms of the dark side. Okay? They're trying to popularize that. My background was actually in fashion with my degree. But I don't care. I'm not going to wear satanic jewelry. I know some of those symbols. I'm not going to promote that. Because, yeah, I mean, you might say, hey, it's just jewelry, you know. But I don't want to be associated with any kind of rebellion or the dark side. And I will wear other jewelry or no jewelry than to represent anything remotely that is not of God. You know, that's saying right there, hey, this is actually the G of this world. So, I mean, yeah, the tattoos have become so popular, and there's a reason for that. Especially the gangs and everything. Because the world is really hitting hard on rebellion and whatever's evil. So let's go the other way of the pendulum, and let's get blessed by God and His superpowers and His heart. And let's be like King Hezekiah, you know, because we're going to miss out on so many blessings if we rebel against God, rather than just turn ourselves in and say, okay, God, whatever you would have. And yes, I want to follow you. I want to devote my life to you, and I'm going to constantly fall, but I want to be able to get up and keep going, be on your side, and be with you for eternity and help others. So glance at Ezekiel in the passage, Isaiah 38, 28, and 29. It's pretty interesting.